boy. So, the Numidium. It's a very interesting object when it comes to Elder Scrolls lore. It's very rooted in it, very interesting, and it's very powerful. But could it be a part of Elder Scrolls 6? Well, a theory that I have been requested to do seems to say that it might show up. And I kind of agree with it. I think it would be interesting. Let's get into it, shall we? Hello everyone, it's Infinity, coming at you with another theory video. Again, yeah. I know, I've been gone for a couple days. I've been working on a bunch of nonsense when it comes to just Red Dead.
Fight on our hands. Loyalty, Arthur, it ain't. I have the goddamn...
I did not intend to get so thrown off track. God dang, did that game affect me. But I'm back again for Elder Scrolls, and don't worry, just because I made another video on another game doesn't mean I'm going to stop making Elder Scrolls videos. You guys like them. I love making them. Why would I ever stop? So, today's theory is brought to you by Robert Wyatt, and he says, I made a theory a while ago about how the logo, music, and the title link in the brass god with the instruments being played in the color of the logo, but the idea of the Empire collapsing made me think. Talos of Edmora created the Empire using the brass god. The factions could include the King of Daggerfall, the Thalmor, the Stormcloaks, maybe the Tribunal could have something to say about it, and of course the collapsing Empire. What I think will happen is the main character joins one of these factions and uses the brass god, or stops the brass god. That would be an awesome final boss, he says. Infinity, if you read my comment, please make a video on this. I think I have a valid point. And you know what? I do think he has a point. I think there's something interesting that we could pull from the idea of the Numidium making an appearance in Elder Scrolls 6. And it's not just to do with evidence that we have, but it would just make a really good story. There are hints here and there, obviously, with the logo having a very brass tint to it compared to most other games like Oblivion, having the Oblivion stone and the runes, Skyrim having the Skyrim-esque metal and font that they were going for of the Nords up in the north and all of that Nordic kind of culture. And then you've got, of course, with Morrowind, you've got the Morrowind kind of scrolls and letters and Daedric kind of runes and all that going on again. Every game since Morrowind, when it comes to its lettering and its themes, has always related to the core of what the story is about in the game. And if that is the case, who's to say that the Elder Scrolls 6's logo, or the lettering that we saw during the teaser trailer back in E3, who's to say that that could not hint at the fact that the brass god Numidium could make an appearance, or at least be related to the plot in some way, shape, or form? Just so everyone's aware real quick, I am not sure if the person who made the comment is aware, but I do know the Tribunal has been, I suppose you could say, destroyed at this point. Vivek is missing and the other two are dead, so I have no idea what happened to Vivek, but I'm pretty sure that the Tribunal will not make an appearance in the next Elder Scrolls game. But getting back to what I was talking about, I do think that the Numidium making an appearance in Elder Scrolls 6, like I've said already, is an extremely interesting idea, because it's not like it's impossible that the Numidium can come back. And I know a lot of people are saying, but Infinity, the Numidium was destroyed at the end of Daggerfall, and the Alakulakai, or whatever it's called, the Akalakahan. I am very bad at pronouncing them. Their names, because there are two different Numidiums, if you're not aware. There is the first Numidium, which was used by Tiber Septim to take over all of the continents on Tamriel and unify everybody under one empire. That was the first Numidium, which was Anumidium, the first one given to the empire by the Tribunal and the Dunmer. It was the first one constructed by the Dwemer, made by, it was designed by Kagranak, if I'm not mistaken, is the dwarf's name. And I believe it was used with, I believe tonal architecture was used to create it. And if you're not aware of what tonal architecture is a technique used by the ancient dwarves to basically manipulate the Song of Life by using tools and magic to insert notes and manipulate the notes that are already in the Song of Life. So that way they could basically insert or manipulate properties of already existing things and create new things altogether. It's very similar to how the Dragonborn's Thume or Shout works in the Elder Scrolls Skyrim. the Dragonborn and dragons are able to insert notes into the Song of Life to create fire, to slow down time, to move faster. And the dwarves used a very similar method to basically create the Numidium, or the first one at least. Anyway, sorry for getting off topic. It was just a little interesting tidbit that I thought you guys would be, interested in. And if you didn't know it, well, now you know. The point is, what I'm talking about is I'm going to be talking about a Numidium, which is the first Numidium, because that's the one I believe Wyatt is talking about. It wouldn't make sense for him to be talking about Aku Alakhan, which is the second Numidium that Dagoth III tried to create. Because, honestly, that second Numidium was destroyed for sure. And there is a way that they could bring back the first Numidium, as there is already an extended sort of... I don't know what we could call it. There were extended writings written by the creator and the writer for the original Morrowind story. And his name is Michael Kirkbride, and I believe he went on to write many more things about the Elder Scrolls that I'm not entirely sure... Well, I'm pretty sure at this point they're not canon, as Bethesda seems to be going into their own direction with the Elder Scrolls lore. But it is interesting because they could pull bits and pieces from it, and a lot of the people in the community seem to really believe that this stuff is something that, but not only Bethesda should, look into and pull from, but some people even die hard say that that's the real Elder Scrolls lore. But if we were to look at one piece of information today, I wanted to look at something that another person in the comment section has pointed out, and it's called Landfall. So in between reading Wyatt's comment, deciding I'm going to make a video, and then actually making the video, another person commented on my Elder Scrolls 7 Akaviri theory. And their name is Blorox Cleach. Don't laugh. I love their name, and they're awesome. They always comment on my stuff. But he or she commented, I thought the Numidium was caught in the Time Warp, not destroyed. Wasn't it the cause of Landfall? This brings me to wonder how long until Bethesda will, if ever, cover Landfall, because it's in the 5th era, so it's not too far in the Elder Scrolls future. We could probably say that the 4th era ended with Alduin and the Dragon Threat being defeated, so that would mean Elder Scrolls 6 would take place in the 5th era. Since Landfall had happened in the 5th era, how likely is it that Elder Scrolls 7 will cover Landfall? Just to be clear, and a warning, I apparently say this is not canon like 4 or 5 times, so just a warning. So, what is Landfall? Well, before a couple days ago I had never heard of it. And it is something extremely crazy, but really interesting. I don't know if I would ever consider it canon, because I can never find any official sources that say that it is indeed canon. It's, as far as I'm concerned, it's fan fiction. But it's written by someone who has written some very, very good Elder Scrolls lore. So I do like it, from what I've heard. It's just that I'm not sure, as of right now, if it's canon or not. And it's a very interesting story. It actually involves the 5th era, the Numidium, the destruction of the Thalmor and I believe all of the High Elves, and the Nerevarine. So Landfall is, from what I've been reading the last day or so, because this is one of the reasons I've been holding off on this video, is I had to do a lot of research, so I won't take up much more of your time explaining, but here it is. It's basically a name given to the future event in which Nirn is destroyed in the late 5th era during the Numidium's return to Tamriel. And you're probably wondering, Infinity, the Numidium was destroyed back in Daggerfall. Well, I've got 2 things to basically say about that. One of them is related to this one, so I'll say it right now. Right now, apparently, if I'm not mistaken, there was an event at the very end of the Tiber Wars, which is the siege of Tiber Septim over all of Tamriel to form the Empire. He had to fight in the Battle of Eleanor, and he used the Numidium to fight during the Battle of Eleanor, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it caused some sort of time warp, where the battle itself lasted an hour, and the Numidium went back to Daggerfall when it was done. But from the Time Warp's perspective and the Numidium's perspective, they essentially had been fighting from that moment until the end of the 5th era when the Numidium reappeared. And at that point, it has something to do with the Thalmor and all of the Altmer getting wiped out, and then everybody else who did not have love in their hearts or something getting destroyed or fleeing to the moon. And this is why I'm not sure if this is considered canon, but it's interesting. And even if it's not considered canon, this is actually something that we could work off of, honestly. So, this video is getting kind of long, not too long, but I'll try to cut to the point with this next part. I'm pretty sure Landfall isn't canon. I couldn't find a single thing from Bethesda or anyone else saying the events of Landfall are canon. So, for just safety purposes, I'm not going to say that they're canon. If you like their story, and trust me, they're pretty good. It's a pretty good story from what I've looked into, really interesting. It's actually kind of cool to see the fact that, you know, this could have some sort of root in what could happen next. It could allude to what we might be seeing. Because it mentions the Thalmor, it mentions the destruction of the Altmer and everything else, and it has some things that are already canon, basically leading into other events that have a very good chance of actually happening. And one of the things that I kind of want to discuss today was my little theory of what might actually happen with the Numidium if they decide not to go with the events of Landfall. See, the Numidium at the end of the events of Daggerfall has multiple endings, or multiple events that all happen surrounding it. The Numidium is kind of the central focal point of Daggerfall's story. Everybody wants the Mentella to control the Numidium so that they can do what they want to do with it. Some people take the Mentella, they take the power within it, and they become gods like Mannimarco, or they use it to finally die like Zurin Arctus the Underking, or they use it to control the Numidium so that they can basically take over Tamriel, or, you know, at least cause a lot of havoc in the process. And if you know anything about Daggerfall's ending, is that Bethesda tried to pull a fast one on us, kind of, by saying that every ending was canon. So everything happened at once. Everything from Mannimarco becoming a god, to Zurin Arctus dying, to the orcs basically uprising against the Empire. And it's interesting because the way they explained it away was that Akatosh, the god of time, had broken and reformed essentially, and it was called the Warp in the West and the Dragon Break. And at this point, you can see it's basically a time warp, which is really interesting to think about because it's very similar to what happened at the Battle of Alinor, where time itself warped. Maybe the Numidium isn't completely destroyed. Maybe, just maybe, we might see it come back from that time warp, the same way it comes back in Landfall. And now that we've gotten all that info out of the way, this brings me to the major point of what this whole theory is about. The Numidium coming back for the end of the Empire, based upon my Redfall theory, I said, in the Elder Scrolls 6, given the state of the Empire and how everybody's rebelling against them and they're getting weakened, we might see the end of the Imperial Empire. And what better way for the Empire to go out than by the tool that they used to form it, the Numidium. That's right, I think the Anumidium, the first Numidium, is going to be the destruction of the Empire. And honestly, with what Wyatt said about the logo having a very brass color to it, and honestly, the instruments even having brass instruments and horns, which are reminiscent of Daggerfall, which surrounded the Numidium in the first place, I honestly think that really, it's possible. I mean, Skyrim hinted towards what it was about with its music, with the whole Nordic theme going on with the shouting and the chanting in the background. And not to retread on covered ground, but I mean, like I said earlier, Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, they all of their themes and their covers and their letterings and their overall kind of logos, they all hint at what the game is about. They all seem to cover what the game's story might be about. It's not very out of the picture to see music and logos and other such things hint towards what the game might be about. For all we know, the game's story is already written out and they're just working on getting it all working at the moment. So, who knows, maybe that's another thing that people didn't read into, like with my theme theory. So, who knows? Like I said, it's all up in the air. It's just a theory. Again, no, I'm not doing that. Anyway, guys, that's going to be the end for this video. I appreciate it if you watched up to this point, and if you enjoyed what I was putting out, feel free to like and subscribe. There's no pressure if you don't. Go ahead and share it on any forums or anything you want to. I appreciate a lot of the attention I've been getting as of late, and I have a lot more videos to put out. I gotta put out a Bethesda video, me talking about Bethesda and what they've been doing as of late. I've got some interesting points that I need to point out there, as I'm not really angry, which means I'm a little more composed than some people that just go on here and just start ripping into them, but you'll see. Besides that, I have, I think, a couple other theories that are being popped out as of late. If you got anything you want to point out, go ahead and put it in the comments, email me, do whatever you can to get a hold of me. If you make a good one, I'll do a video on it. I can almost guarantee it. Because you guys come out with some great stuff. And you actually opened my eyes and my mind to a lot of the stuff that you guys are saying, and a lot of good theories I'm actually thinking might happen at this point. So go ahead, I'll make a video on it. But anyway, that is it. I'm going to let you all go. This is Infinity reminding you all to say it with me now. Eat well, play well, and live well, friends. Guys, go out there and strive to break infinity.